Hello everyone and welcome back to Kink Geek, the sex-positive podcast about positivity and stuff. We are your hosts, Step,
Omi, and Tams. Hi, I bet you missed us.
It's good to hear that a long hiatus hasn't increased our concision prowess at all.
Yeah, I'm not concise. It's been a while, but some people may be brand new.
So I say welcome back, but for the most of you, I assume this is going to be your first hearing of the Kink Geek podcast, because unfortunately, our archive has gone the way of the old computer. Now, hopefully by the time this episode is airing, we'll have dug out some of those old episodes and gotten them onto YouTube or something.
But if anybody has any of our back catalog on an old phone or something and they wanted to share it, that would be so cool.
Yeah, there will be contact information in the show description, as well as on the YouTube channel, as well as
all of the places.
Yes.
I
think our Twitter is still active. So, hi.
Hi.
Welcome. Kink Geek, in case you didn't know when you downloaded it, is a sex-positive podcast about sexuality, nerd culture,
relationships,
everything that has to do with interesting human things. And we are your hosts, Step
and Tams.
And now that we've said that twice, we can get into what's this episode going to be about.
So, this episode basically is going to be kind of an update of where we are, because it's been a while. It's been 2 years, I think.
At least, yeah.
And we did the show for about 2 years,
3 years.
3?
Yep.
Yeah. We came to the podcast as a couple, and we're still a couple, who were 24/7 DS dynamic. And things have changed a lot since then. And so we're looking to update you on our personal stuff in this episode. And then in the upcoming episodes, we're going to be doing a bunch of really good deep dives into some really interesting topics. We're going to have some guests that we're going to be interviewing, which is very exciting. And
probably not in the first season, although maybe.
Yes, we are. I already have stuff set up.
All
Work with me, man. So we're going to, in the first season, you can expect stuff about terms, meaning what BDSM is, and all sorts of interesting stuff like that. And we've got an episode coming on girls in gaming, in a fandom culture, and stuff like that.
So we are going to be retreading a lot of our old ground in the first season, because there are a lot of people out there who haven't heard many of our older episodes. And also, things have changed. Some things have changed and some things have stayed the same in the last 5 years. So we want to really give a solid base for
absolutely
getting back into the swing of things. And we're happy to be back podcasting. It was never our intention to go away for so long, but that's sort of what this episode is explaining.
Yeah. So another thing before we start with our personal updates is there is going to be a podcast format change. If you've never been here before, this is what we're doing.
We did a bi-weekly, and then we did a weekly, and then we did a monthly back in the day. But we have finally tacked down a schedule that we both think is going to work very well.
It's going to be tenable for both of us. So we're going to be going bi-weekly. There will be 8 episodes per season, and we already have the first episodes already planned and plotted. And we're doing 4 seasons per year, and we're looking at around the 1 hour mark for the podcast. I don't want to say definite, because some weeks there's going to be a lot to get into and we may go a little longer. Some weeks we may go a little bit shorter.
And just so everyone knows, this is a project for the two of us. We're not a large podcasting studio.
Oh, no, we have nobody working with us.
Sound
it's just
engineer and
us. Yeah,
whatever.
It's just he and I, and we work, so.
And we had been, in the past, putting out as much content as some of those larger 5 to 10 person teams, and it was kind of killing us.
Yeah.
So
boy.
we learned our lesson and have come back with something a little more...
reasonable?
Yeah. Feasible.
We are also going to be looking at bonus content for our YouTube channel, which is the At Home with Kink Geek YouTube channel that will be updating and putting bonus videos and bloopers, because boy do we always have bloopers. And there will also be bonus and extended content for Patreon members when we get there. So
we still have the same ideas that we didn't quite get to implement the last time around, and we'll be announcing those as they happen. Yeah.
So now we're going to jump into some updates. Or some, hey, here's who we are.
Right, because I assume that a lot of you have never heard of us. There are many kink podcasts out there. Some of them are more sex positive than others. I've listened to quite a few over the years and enjoyed some and not enjoyed others. I'm not going to tell you which because I don't feel like playing favorites, but you know, we want to make sure that our space is as positive a space as possible. Friendly, yeah.
Yeah, we want to learn as much as we can so
inclusive.
That if we use a term that somebody doesn't like, or maybe we just don't know, we would love people to reach out and say, hey guys, just so you know.
Yeah, because a lot of circles are different.
And things change so fast.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I guess we'll start with us. So, we are a couple. We've been together for coming on 7 years. Oh my goodness, it's crazy. We are a poly couple.
Yep.
So, I'll let you explain polyamory very briefly. We will be doing a whole
bunch
of stuff on it later.
An episode or a season on it unto itself.
So, if you want to just explain what polyamory is, then...
Polyamory is very basically the belief that it is possible to love more than one person romantically at the same time. And tied to that, because love and sex are tied in the current dominant fantasy, having sexual relationships with more than one partner at the same time, without anyone getting their feelings hurt.
I've heard, what's the phrase that I've heard a lot? Oh my gosh, something monogamy.
Ethical non-monogamy?
Yes. We'll fix that in post.
Maybe we will. Maybe we won't.
We'll fix that in editing. Yes, ethical non-monogamy. Now, you come to this naturally. This is kind of your absolute definite state of being.
I do, which might end up being a starting point for our polyamory,
Deep
quartet dive. Next season or something, like whenever. Basically, it's typical in, especially North American, any society that's been dominated by the Christian church for any amount of time. That's not a dig. Monogamy is the norm, and that's currently most of the world. But a lot of people find that very limiting, because I don't want to deny my feelings for other people that I might have. And I believe that it's possible to love your partner, in my case, my nesting partner is Tams, and also love other people just as much or in different ways. And if that's part of your agreement, part of your arrangement, then nobody has to get hurt by that. Now, that's separate from the concept of cheating, which is if you are doing something that breaks a bond of a relationship, then that's not good. You should always be honest and open and communicate your needs. And hopefully that way everyone can live honestly.
It's also very different from polygamy, which is a different thing, but we'll get into this.
Yeah.
I guess the important thing is this is kind of your natural state of being. It's something I have come to that I've had to, by choice, work through. We'll get into that again much later. We'll keep you, just teased a little bit.
We've got plenty to talk about, I'm sure.
Oh my goodness! So
you've got the show notes. You have this. She makes these delightful little show notes that have like bullet points, sometimes
pictures.
Yeah.
Some things never change. It's true. So basically we are a poly couple. I guess we might as well mention currently I am not dating anyone else. You are dating several people. Which kind of...
I always feel bad when that's the state of being, because I have to explain it to people like, no, it's not just my private thing. It's just that I'm more of an extrovert. It's
true. It's very true. So the next point, I suppose, is that we used to be 24/7 DS. Mm-hmm. We had a dominant submissive with you as in the dominant role.
That's how we started our relationship.
Yeah. And we worked through a lot of stuff. Hopefully we find our back episodes so we don't have to rehash all that stuff at some point. But...
Briefly, we had a poly triad that was all... that's 3 people in a polyamorous relationship. That there were very strained power dynamics going on, and our third part was not the most stable of individuals, and that caused a lot of tension that we needed to have aired out and figure it out. And while that was happening, we kind of dropped most of the power exchange dynamic from our 24/7 life, because that's not a healthy environment to start one of those dynamics.
And definitely not for us.
Yeah.
So we still engage in
play.
DS play, absolutely. And we're kind of in exploring mode right now, I would say. Looking, life has been crazy, as is the always running.
I think the last couple of months, or possibly the last year of our back episodes, were all like, life sort of gets in the way and this and that. And finally, we're in a position where, while we are busy, at least we do have some stability.
Yeah. So basically,
that feels very nice.
We moved from London, where we had been living, London, Ontario, and we've moved to York Region, which is north of Toronto.
Still in Ontario, still in Canada. We're still those Canadians. If you can't tell it from our voices, don't you know?
And we moved into a basement apartment at my parents'. They needed some help. My brother moved out with his family. And they just needed some extra help around the homestead and with the homestead.
The home needs improving, yeah.
Yeah, so my dad's just not in a position to do that right now. So
I don't think any one person would be in a position to do it.
No, definitely not. So we moved here, and this was kind of where I grew up. And I've been able to reestablish some things that I used to do, which we'll get to in a moment.
And it's funny, because I grew up in a small town too. Probably smaller than where we are now is. So I remember small town life, but I lived in London, Ontario for most of my adult life. So this is a change, but a little bit like a coming home for me.
Yeah, but it has its ups and downs. We finally got our space that we can see. It's almost there.
Kind of what prompted us starting the recordings, because we finally have places that we can do the things we want to do.
Which is good. So let's talk a little bit about our health and our mental health.
Okay.
So when last we spoke,
realized that was on the list.
Yeah, it's right there.
Okay.
First things. It makes more sense to kind of go Yumi than
I suppose.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm sure people know what I mean. So when we last spoke, I was just starting medication for anxiety and depression, and things are pretty darn good right now.
Yeah, your medications have all been figured out, and you're in a,
for the most part,
pretty good way.
I'm still working to get off the diabetes drugs. We're still trying to get our sense of balance as far as our sugar issues. I think towards the end of our show, we were really starting to realize what a problem sugar is in our lives, and
it still is to this day.
Yeah, and we're just now really starting to figure out the way to...
You know what the thing about sugar is? And for anyone who doesn't know, sugar as omnipresent as it is, as innocent as it seems, has been linked to all sort of brain chemistry issues. It's in a certain group of people more addictive than heroin. And the other part of that is that it's absolutely everywhere. I can't think of a single store that I've walked into that doesn't have a ready supply of sugar.
Yeah, in everything. It's very hard. So we're working on that. But my blood pressure is really good. And my mental health, I feel good and positive and mostly balanced, which feels really good.
That's good.
I keep saying good, but I don't know a better word. It's always, I mean, there are days when I still, going through new stuff at work, I was having some anxiety, panic attacky stuff, but I have better skills how to deal with it now. So, yeah. And how about you?
Well, I haven't been quite so lucky recently. My ADHD has been... I was diagnosed as a child, and I thought I had it mostly under control throughout most of my life. I had coping mechanisms, but recently I've come to realize that that is not the case. I'm far too likely to start new projects without any understanding of how to complete them. And because of my stubbornness and the fact that I think of myself as a quitter, I will drive a project far longer than it should probably have existed. Take my solo YouTube channel, Game Adair, which we'll probably link in this episode because it's still going to be there, even though I'm not recording videos there anymore. But stay tuned for
brand new stuff.
Actually, our other brand new stuff will probably be out before this is, so we'll figure out where to slip in ads for it. So I did go and see a psychologist once. Problem is that it takes time for the insurance to get us the fees back for it, because I am insured, and I just can't carry like 2 or 3 sessions worth of debt while I'm waiting for them to pay me out. So right now I don't have a great solution for that, and I'm trying to figure that out.
I was fortunate because I'm on a medication for my eating disorder, and it just also happens to deal with my ADHD.
I should probably also be on that same medication because most of my issues are similar, but flipped in degree. You have less trouble with your ADHD, and I have less trouble with food, but they're both present.
So that's something to look into, is just going to the doctor.
But I am hopeful because I have some life balance, equilibrium that I'm happy about. I'm happy that I'm starting projects that are good and positive and that include other people, rather than burying myself in insular work that doesn't really lead anywhere.
So I guess next up is, this is a big change for both of us.
We're both employed.
I was working mostly just from home doing random internet stuff, and you were working as a security guard supervisor.
Was I? I was, yeah. That's right. I had quit my job at the church, gotten a new job as a security.
Got your license and...
Yeah. Well, I'm not doing that anymore. When we moved, I thought I was going to have a position waiting for me, but I wasn't. But I didn't. However, that was actually kind of positive, because now I have a couple of opportunities that I'm really happy with. I have a day job which pays the bills, and I'm also working on, and this is one of those projects that I'm hoping, once this spoilers, we're in the middle of the nasty epidemic issue.
Yeah, just for reference sake, we're recording this on the 16th of March. And
which
here
is
in Canada,
right before it's all...
Yeah, we just closed the borders today. And my work just announced that we were closing. So, yeah, it's scary.
Once the world comes back to its senses, not that I think people are handling this responsibly right now. I'm just saying that the world is a little topsy-turvy at the moment.
Yeah.
Once we get that equilibrium back, I am going to put forth my business and really drive it as a professional cuddler and intimacy coach. Mm-hmm. Basically doing what I do here on Kink Geek, but on a one-on-one basis in person and with physical component, giving people a place to talk about their problems if they don't think that they are serious enough for a mental health professional, and also provide that physical contact that so many of us lack in our day-to-day lives. I know so many people who don't have the time for friends or family or an intimate partner who just need a hug.
Just a couch cuddle and watch a movie or something.
Just want to chill with a blanket and cozy shoulder. Mm-hmm. You know? So that's...
Yeah, so what are you doing as your full-time job currently?
Oh, you want me to talk about that?
I just thought, just throw it out there, because I think it's interesting for me.
I work in copy and print.
Yeah.
I work at a print shop, and it's a really fun job. Yeah. It works really well for me. I connect well with paper and the printed word, and I love graphical editing, layout, design of layouts, and that sort of thing. I really connect with customers who are like, I don't know how to do this thing.
Yeah, exactly, which is cool. And that's the thing for me, is I was able to find a job with which I can feel good about my connection to people.
Let's see if they can guess. You are creative.
I am creative.
You're in a creative field.
I am.
You are good with children and some adults. You like to be helpful and a positive personality, and I should stop making noise.
I wondered about that. Click, 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 click. ADHD.
It'll edit out. Surely.
Surely.
So you must be in some sort of theater.
Haha, aren't you clever? Like, you don't live with me and know this.
Aren't they clever out there for taking that journey with me?
So yeah, I have a few jobs, and some of them don't pay anything, but I guess they're volunteer positions, but they occupy my time anyway. I applied in the summer to manage our local cinema, which at the time was privately owned, and they were thrilled by the fact that my experience was in live theater and directing and producing in live theater, so they thought it would be a really cool fit. And at the time, and this was just this year, 2020, we were one of the last theaters to not have everything automated. We were digital, but we had to actually physically go up to each of the projectors and press play for each movie and turn on lights, and I loved it. And then we got bought out in November by a corporation. Less love, but it's fine. And I'm still there, and I love my job. I love my staff. They're phenomenal. My direct boss is amazing. Best person to ever work for. And I get to help people and bring them movies, which, come on, who doesn't love movies? So that's really cool.
So how are things going there since the changeover? Fine?
Fine. Yes, everything's fine.
Everything's fine?
I've discovered the difference between something personally owned by a person and a corporation. There's a lot of much better things, like everything's up to code, and there are harder things. But on the whole, it's fine.
Now, the reason I ask is because our podcasting, I'm going to use air quotes, network, and all of our other content is privately owned.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh yeah.
So we're not part of one of those big corporations, and we're not going to, even if we get big on YouTube or whatever, we're probably not going to go to one of those multi-channel networks, you know?
I can only think of one that I'd want to be really...
Matt Patz.
Oh, okay, maybe more than one. I'd love to work with the Greens.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that in a little bit.
We'll talk about that in a minute. I just wanted to put it out there that, like...
Oh, yeah, no,
there are interesting things that you would have known from... Okay, that's not me anymore. That's a cat.
That's Willow.
Hold on. All right, cat has been dealt with, ? Basically, we're a small town operation outfit, and we have big plans. I don't know.
Yeah, I get what you mean.
Yeah.
I get what you mean. So I also am a director for I'm on the board of directors for an amazing organization called Peaceful Hearts, and it fills the gap for people with special needs that just get lost in the cracks after they phase out of like school age. There's just nothing left for them, and there's a wonderful woman who started it. Her son is special needs, and she's put together this day program, and it's Monday to Friday, and it's all about enrichment and learning. And so not only am I on the board of directors, but I go in once a week, and it's the best day of my whole week, and I do music therapy. And I've watched one of our autistic residents go from just
That's
not...
autistic, not artistic.
Autistic. Wow, Tams. Oh.
Just because you talk quite quickly sometimes.
I'm trying to remember to slow down. It's been a while since I've done this. Autistic resident go from not connecting with me at all to learning the hand motions for the Unicorn song and asking for a song, and some of the other residents have connected so much with us that they're talking a lot more, and they're just comfortable with us now, and it's just a great place. So I get to do that once a week, which is exciting.
So you say music therapy. Give me a brief overview of what's involved in that and how it affects their lives.
So currently we are just basically bringing them music. That's something I will probably talk about on another podcast.
I think that'll...
In so much as I'm looking to finish a degree and get my actual degree in music therapy.
I think we'll probably do an episode on real life therapies, or general therapy that you don't have to go to a person for, you know, and musical therapy will definitely be one of those.
Oh yeah, so we come in once a week and we bring music, and we work on rhythm, and we work on words and singing, and it gives them a chance to get up and be creative and sing out. And we've discovered that 2 of our girls have a natural music ability. One of them is has perfect pitch.
Wow.
And she will not only sing along with us with songs we don't know, just singing consonants and vowels, but she will, come down on the third and do harmonies with us.
Wow.
And her mother was like, "What? I had no idea." And this other girl who is just, she's such a light. She sings songs with me. We're going to be putting together an album, I think, with all of them. And it's so much fun. It gives them a chance to be creative and expressive, get energy out, and to connect in a deeper way, in a different way, because some of them are not, half are very verbal and some are bordering on nonverbal, and it's another way to express. One of our residents who basically speaks in 1 to 3 word sentences, but he interpretive dances.
Oh, interesting.
To the words of the song, and it's just it's amazing. Yeah, so I'm going to stop there with that because I will go on for an hour about them.
So that is positive, though, and it leads into music. So
yeah.
what kind of
music?
Other music things are you doing?
2 things. We'll do the first one, which is theater. We've relaunched our children's theater in the area. I lost my mentor last year, who was the most amazing woman, bringing theater to our area for thousands of children for like 25 years. And she passed away this year. And we decided, myself and a former student wanted to do something in her honor. So with her granddaughter, who is now 16 years old, the three of us and my partner's mom have formed a children's theater group in her name, and we work under the Optimists. And so we're able to offer theater classes for kids from 6 to 12, and actually it's more like 4 to 13 because we can't say no. And we do weekly acting lessons, and right now we're working on a big musical production that I wrote.
An anti-bullying play.
An anti-bullying play.
I love it.
Yeah, it's pretty fun. So that's been a blast. And then the other music is I'm back with the musical partner that I was with for years before I moved to London. And we're so busy. We're gigging a lot and we're working on a new album. And I'm having so much fun.
That's fantastic.
Doing it. Oh, yeah. Those are the connections that I reconnected to when we moved back. And it's been a blast.
Okay, so on the topic of music, where do we go from here?
All right, how about writing? Because that's something that involves us both.
That we both do?
Yeah.
I'm still working on finishing my Nano from last year. NaNoWriMo. National Novel Writing Month in November. I won. I got the 50,000 words, but that's it. I've written about 60,000 on that project, and it needs about 40,000 more words. And I can't stick the landing. I don't know where the ending is, and I knew it was going to happen. Halfway through, I told you when I introduced that character, I'm like, I just screwed myself up. But there's no way to not have this. It's
just
like,
appeared. Yeah.
It had to. It's how the ship would work, right? Like they're just that's how it would go. So I've got to figure that out, and we'll talk about that probably more if we do an episode on gender or isolation, because those are themes in my novel from last year. It's a sci-fi. It's my first crack at a sci-fi, and I intended from the get-go for it to be an audio drama podcast. So it'll probably appear sooner or later on this very network, if not in this feed, then tangentially to it, and link will go in this podcast and onto our YouTube and all over the place once it's ready, because that's definitely going to happen. But right now I'm in the process of, I need to read it and figure out what goes in the audio drama and what gets cut from the audio drama and goes only in the finished novel, because I'm going to publish the novel and I'm going to trim down the story for an audio drama. So I have to figure out where that goes. And tangentially to my ADHD, I have a lot of trouble reading the written word. So that's something that I can write fine, but anytime I get to editing, it's painful.
You're an audiobook.
Oh, I love audio.
Avid, yes, whereas
I love podcasts.
I have harder time listening than I do reading. I like it in my hand. Yeah,
I find reading written words frustrating. I don't know how I became a reader, but
I'm glad you did.
It was, I would read all the way through elementary and high school. After Mom finally drove it into me that I had to, because I would, if I had had my druthers, I would have just had her read to me forever.
Fair enough.
How about you? How's your writing?
My writing is So I didn't do Nano last year because there was too much other stuff
because she
going
wrote
on.
A play about anti-bullying for children.
It's true.
Oh, I didn't do any writing. I just wrote an entire stage play.
Whatever. So I have picked up my Nano from the year before, which is so close to done. And I did a first reread pass because the ending...
You thought it was going to suck.
Well, no, it's not even
how
that.
How was it?
It wasn't even so much that, although that is always a worry. It was that I suddenly realized why the ending was the way it was. And I needed to make sure that I had set everything up well.
See, I need that moment myself.
Yes. I'm so in love with my characters. I'm not saying it's a fantastic piece of fiction, but I really connect with the story and my characters, and I enjoy spending time with them. So I'm very, very excited to let them loose on the world. I'm going to self-publish for sure.
Yeah?
And yeah, I don't have it in me to do the whole sending it off to editors and getting rejected, and I'm writing for me, and if I can offer it to other people, I may put it on Amazon, I don't know.
Do you want to send it through an editor first?
I don't think I can afford to send it through an editor. It's very expensive.
I don't know. Like, we have a writers group that we started at the...
I was going to bring that up, actually.
At one of the libraries nearby.
Mm-hmm.
So there may end up being opportunity for you to get your work in front of an editor there.
That is very true. And also, I have some alpha readers at my work. It is what I would consider YA in so much as it's, I don't know, late teens, early 20-ish, but it's what I read.
I'd consider it YA because that term gets like two different reactions. It's either, oh, I love YA, or YA, well, that's like kids stuff, right? But really, the point of YA is that the tone and the target audience is young adults, usually going through some sort of a transition. Mm-hmm. And there's a purpose to that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Writing.
So some of my staff has offered to take a copy home.
Excellent.
Yeah, so that will be exciting. But yes, we started a writers group that we meet once a week, though not right now because our library is closed because of the virus. So yeah, we're working on that. We've got some stuff that we're going to be working on together, and always writing, and writing for this as well.
ABW.
This episode, we will mention, is very loosey-goosey and kind of ad-libbed, just following some loose show notes, but
yeah, some two pages of loose show notes for an unorganized episode of Kink Geek.
Wait till they're organized, baby.
I did wonder while we were recording this if anyone's going to tune in thinking they're going to get advice about spanking and then be like, this is just two people talking for half an hour about their bullshit. What the hell? I promise you there will be more topical topics.
Yes.
More
formal
topics.
Yes, structured topics.
Structured.
There we go. This was just going to be ad-lib so we can get it done and feel good about having the first episode in the can.
Mostly to let our old fans know what became of us and to get us back in our setup doing our thing. So
yeah,
also, if there are any audio blips or weirdness to this episode, it'll be because this is the test case.
Yeah, very much so.
Yeah.
So how about gaming? We were both doing... Well, no, they didn't know about my gaming.
My gaming channel. Yeah, they wouldn't know about your gaming.
So when I moved here, well, just before I moved here, I started really working on my Girl in Real Life channel, and I spent about 2 solid years streaming EverQuest. Sometimes with a partner, sometimes by myself, to some decent success and having such a good time. And I did some Twitch sings, and then we just had stuff within the family and changes, and
well, we both needed to get jobs
and trying to fit in a full-time job that has weird hours. So I kind of let that go, but I am
one with the wind in the sky.
Yes, but we are actually working on something together so we can still have gaming stuff.
So I may have infected Tams with my ADHD and my hyper work. I don't know what you call it, because I'm really not a workaholic, but I have issues with creating lots of stuff.
Oh, I've always had that, but I've learned to cope by making lists and being realistic.
I would play a different game every single day. I did it for almost 2 years.
Yeah, as opposed to me, who I've been playing WoW and EverQuest for better part of a decade, and I'm perfectly happy. But
when you were doing your streaming, it was daily.
Yes,
right?
Every single day I streamed 5 days a week, sometimes on the weekends,
and we'll put
for
links,
at least 2 hours.
We'll put links to both of those channels,
mm-hmm.
which are not quite defunct, like they're still there.
I still upload
and we may
occasion.
still be updating
mm-hmm.
until we figure out where the new network is going. But we are going to start a new gaming channel that's for both of us, and with a much more manageable upload schedule.
Yeah, that was hard for me because I would stream live for 2 hours, and then Saturday and Sunday I would do an hour or so of singing, streaming, and you had to do your game every single day, so we didn't see each other very often.
Yeah.
So this is much better for us, and so I'm very much looking forward to the future. I'm looking forward to all of the cool stuff we're going to be talking about. Everything from spanking and
to relationship structures,
to
the state of the world and our environs.
Yes, we're going to be looking at kink through the lens of the media, at where we've been and where we're going and where we still have to go, and kind of how that ties in with LGBTQ plus culture as well. We found an interesting little thing there. And as for the women in gaming, it's not just gaming, it's women in geek culture in general. And we'll have some interesting people to talk to.
Possibly the church and how it's evolved over the last 5 to 10 years and how far it has yet to go.
Oh, you mean we'll be talking about, we're not going to be interviewing the church about girls in gaming?
No.
Okay, I didn't think they'd have a whole lot to say.
Listing off topics, aren't we?
Fair enough. Yes, we are. I'm just being silly. It's been a long day. So, we're looking forward to hearing from everybody. And as always, even though we have the first, 8 episodes together, please, if you have suggestions, thoughts, ideas, send them to us, because we're happy to answer questions, entertain the thought of topics to cover. We're also going to be looking at live events in the future once we're past self-quarantining and not being able to go out. We'd love to get out and meet people in person, and
at libraries and bookstores and
adult
wherever.
Stores and educational stores and maybe conventions and all sorts of fun stuff.
Yeah,
that'll be exciting. So
I think that's where we're going to call it.
Yes,
but
we will see everyone in 2 weeks' time.
Yeah.
For our next episode.
Don't forget to be awesome.
Oh, we didn't talk about that. Do we want to mention that briefly before we go? Because
do you want to slot it in?
All right, so you're going to find out about this earlier, before. Yeah.
Who's doing the editing on these?
I guess it's me. You can do it if you'd rather.
I don't like either of those options.
Why? I can edit.
I know. You don't edit as tightly as I do.
Because I like it to sound natural.
Ah.
Yeah. All right, so I guess we'll just talk about what we were going to talk about, and then I'll figure it out later. So one thing we did discover, we are about a decade late to the party.
I have been tangentially aware.
Is that the word for the episode?
Oh, I guess so.
Oh, we should have a word for every episode.
Tangential.
is today's word of the day. All right. So you were aware of
peripherally aware of the Brothers Green for years. Like I had seen a few Vlog Brothers videos here and there, or they'd come across my feed, or I had seen Crash Course.
You watched the entire Crash Course
World History,
yeah.
Or any of the things that were produced by them that didn't actually have them in it but had their names on it.
Like, and I knew of like The Fault in Our Stars by John Green. I knew it was a YA novel that was very popular.
We should probably lead with a proper introduction to what we're talking about rather than just
a roundabout kind of bizarreness.
So the Vlog Brothers, the Brothers Green, Hank and John Green, have been vlogging for 13 years,
give or take, yeah.
And they were really one of the first big YouTube vlog pairs, and they have gone on to do all sorts of things, both on YouTube and off.
Aren't they responsible for VidCon?
They're responsible for VidCon. They are both notable authors in their genres. They have promoted and helped to get started so many other people's careers. And they're just lovely, wonderful people.
Also, I think one of the things that impresses me the most is their philanthropy. They have a non-profit organization in which they use it to raise money for all sorts of things. Right now they're trying to help people in Sierra Leone because there's like one doctor to 300,000 people, and
it started as, this is the Foundation to Reduce World Suck, right?
Yep.
It started just as a way of helping out random individuals who were having a bad time. Like there was somebody who, I don't know, couldn't afford to put gas in their car, or wanted to connect two people who met online who may have never met each other if they couldn't afford a bus ticket, or something. And just random little things like that to make the world suck less and to increase the amount of awesome that is out there. And that has ballooned into helping international causes, which I think is just phenomenal.
Yeah, and their catchphrase is, "Don't forget to be awesome." DFTBA.
Yep.
Which we're finding very inspiring, right?
It inspired us a lot to get out into our own community, because we knew we were part of an online community, sort of. A few online communities, sort of. But online communities are only as communal as the members therein. Like, a lot of online communities, air quotes again, are very insular. There'll be a few people who talk all the time, and then a lot of people who sit back and are just sort of present. And there's nothing wrong with that, but in order to get a real positive movement out of something, you need to be more engaged than that. And I find that their Nerd Fighter group are very engaged in making the world better. So we just want to be an unofficial part of that.
Yeah, so we're trying to put together a Nerd Fighter chapter here in York region, and just do better for people.
And help people understand that you can do better for people.
Yeah, every little bit helps. So they're kind of our inspiration, and
a guiding light.
So that's the other thing that we've been focused on the last little while, which I don't think is going to lead us too far astray. So
yeah,
there we go.
All right.
So until 2 weeks from now, I hope everyone has a safe and happy couple of weeks.
Bye.
Bye, guys.